A growing body of research points to a troubling connection between diets high in ultra-processed foods and an increased risk of mental health disorders, particularly depression and anxiety. While mental health is shaped by a complex interplay of genetics, environment, and life experience, the role of diet, specifically the quality of what we eat, is increasingly recognized as a significant contributor to psychological well-being. Ultra-processed foods, with their high content of added sugars, unhealthy fats, synthetic additives, and low levels of essential nutrients, appear to promote chronic inflammation, alter brain chemistry, and disrupt the gut-brain axis, all of which are mechanisms implicated in mood disorders. The modern Western diet, heavily reliant on ultra-processed foods, is frequently associated with low levels of critical nutrients like B vitamins, magnesium, omega-3 fatty acids, zinc, and antioxidants. These nutrients are vital for the synthesis of neurotransmitters such as serotonin and dopamine, which regulate mood, motivation, and emotional resilience. A deficiency in these building blocks can impair brain function and lower stress tolerance, laying the groundwork for persistent feelings of sadness, fatigue, and hopelessness. Despite often being calorie-rich, ultra-processed foods fail to deliver the nutritional value needed to support optimal brain health, creating a state of overfed but undernourished that quietly undermines mental equilibrium. Moreover, these foods promote systemic inflammation, an immune response triggered by excessive intake of refined sugars, trans fats, and additives. Chronic inflammation has been repeatedly linked to depression, with studies showing that individuals with elevated inflammatory markers such as C-reactive protein, CRP, are more likely to experience depressive symptoms. Inflammation affects neurotransmitter production and disrupts communication between neurons, impairing mood regulation. It also interferes with a hypothalamic pituitary adrenal (HPA) axis, the body's central stress response system. An overactive HPA axis can lead to heightened anxiety, disrupted sleep, and decreased resilience to psychological stressors. In addition to inflammation, the gut-brain axis, an intricate communication system between the gastrointestinal tract and the central nervous system, is particularly vulnerable to the effects of ultra-processed food. A healthy gut microbiome supports emotional stability by producing neuroactive compounds like serotonin, an estimated 90% of which is synthesized in the gut, gamma-aminobutyric acid, GABA, and short-chain fatty acids that modulate brain function. But diets low in fiber and high in additives, sugars, and artificial emulsifiers harm microbial diversity and allow pathogenic bacteria to flourish. This dysbiosis not only compromises digestion but also contributes to mood disturbances, increased stress sensitivity, and even cognitive decline. Some studies have even found that people who consume high amounts of ultra-processed foods are significantly more likely to develop depressive symptoms within just a few years, even after controlling for socioeconomic and lifestyle variables. Compounding this, ultra-processed foods often contribute to erratic blood sugar levels due to their high glycemic index. These frequent spikes and crashes in blood glucose can cause irritability, fatigue, and impaired concentration, symptoms commonly mistaken for or exacerbated by anxiety and depression. The temporary pleasure or relief that comes from consuming such foods, due to their engineered palatability and addictive qualities, may mask the long-term emotional toll they exact. Over time, this can trap individuals in a vicious cycle of poor diet, low mood, and emotional eating, where the very foods that offer short-term comfort deepen long-term distress. Children and adolescents are especially at risk, given the critical periods of brain development during youth and the increasing prevalence of ultra-processed foods in school meals and at home. Several studies have shown that young people with diets high in processed snacks, fast food, and sugary beverages are more likely to experience behavioral problems, learning difficulties, and early signs of anxiety and depression. At a life stage when emotional regulation and identity formation are still taking shape, poor dietary patterns can have long-lasting consequences on mental health, educational outcomes, and social development. The social implications are severe. As mental health disorders rise globally, particularly in urban and industrialized settings where ultra-processed foods are most accessible and heavily marketed, the role of food as a modifiable risk factor becomes urgent. While medications and therapy remain critical tools in the treatment of depression and anxiety, They are often deployed without addressing underlying lifestyle contributors like poor nutrition. This omission can lead to incomplete recovery, frequent relapses, and a growing dependence on pharmacological solutions that may never fully restore emotional well-being if dietary patterns remain unchanged. In the end, the link between ultra-processed food consumption and declining mental health is not merely observational. It is supported by biochemical, neurological, and epidemiological evidence. These foods erode the foundation of mental resilience by depriving the brain of necessary nutrients, fostering inflammation, and destabilizing the intricate gut-brain ecosystem. The emotional fallout can be profound, manifesting not only as clinical depression and anxiety, but also as reduced stress tolerance, irritability, emotional numbness, and even social withdrawal. As such, ultra-processed foods should be viewed not just as a nutritional concern, but as a serious threat to psychological health and public well-being. Reducing their role in the daily diet is not only essential for physical health, it may also be one of the most overlooked yet powerful steps we can take to protect and restore mental stability in a society that is increasingly burdened by invisible emotional suffering.